Troy is one of those movies I loved as a kid, but now love differently as an adult. It may still be an epic action movie, but on a rewatch, what I enjoy just as much is something else: the complexity of its characters.
I'll tell you a secret. Something they don't teach you in your temple. Gods envy us. They envy us because we're mortal. Because any moment might be our last. Everything's more beautiful because we're doomed. You will never be lovelier than you are now. We will never be here again.
Layered among the intense fight scenes are actually quieter moments between characters that talk less about war and power and more about what it means to be remembered, what it means to be mortal, and what it means to protect those that you love. Let's start with Achilles, played by the incomparable Brad Pitt. He is, without a doubt, one of the biggest focal pieces for the movie. But while I only saw him as a vehicle for incredible action, on a second rewatch, Achilles stands for so much more than just fighting. He stands for the idea of wanting to be remembered, to be immortal. And we subtly understand this from the very first time that we meet him. Following a dog that makes its way through the remnants of a battlefield, the beginning of the movie introduces us to two opposing armies with two opposing kings negotiating the terms for their next battle. Brian Cox plays one of them, who suggests that they settle this through a simple arrangement: your best fighter versus mine. We watch on as his opponent calls out a huge monstrosity until he himself calls out the name that we've all been waiting for.
Achilles!
But Achilles isn't there, and it's only until a boy is sent to a village to find him that we soon realize exactly what drives Achilles to be who he is, and what he truly values most in life, and why he is the way that he is for the rest of the story, which is wanting to be remembered. As the boy wakes him up, he warns Achilles what lies ahead, but Achilles, with just one line of dialogue, shuts him down with a sentence that becomes a mantra for who he is.
The Thessalonian you're fighting. He's the biggest man I've ever seen. I wouldn't want to fight him.
That's why no one will remember your name.
That one single line sums up everything about Achilles. It's why he's so much more than just an amazing fighter. He becomes the symbol of man's desire to live on throughout the ages through remembrance, and conversely becomes a symbol for humanity's fear of mortality, the representation of the existential dread that we all face and that haunts us, the realization that one day we are going to die and that no one will remember us. Achilles is more than aware of this, to the point where it drives almost every action he does in the entire movie. As the story goes on, he goes to battle and to war simply because he is chasing this idea of immortality through memory. That is why he doesn't care if he dies, because he knows that's inevitable. But what isn't is accomplishing something that will make you truly memorable throughout the ages. We hear more of this from his mother, who tells him of a powerful prophecy.
If you stay in Larissa, you will find peace. You'll find a wonderful woman. You'll have sons and daughters, and they will have children. And they will love you. And when you're gone, they will remember you. But when your children are dead, and their children after them, your name will be lost. If you go to Troy, glory will be yours. They will write stories about your victories for thousands of years. The world will remember your name. But if you go to Troy, you will never come home. For your glory walks hand in hand with your doom.
Achilles now has a difficult decision to make. The choice between staying home, living a long and happy life, but one that ultimately would be forgotten, or the choice of going to war at Troy and dying there, but becoming an immortal, with his name and spirit being always remembered. He knows his mother can see the future, and he knows that only one of those choices will mean losing her, but it's this certainty for the possibility of achieving immortality that drives him to say yes to war, because it's this immortality that he wants most out of anything. This immortality that he also preaches as a prize for others in his command to achieve.
Do you know what's there? Waiting, beyond that beach. Immortality! Take it! It's yours!
But my favorite scene with Achilles actually comes much later on in the film. After his famous battle with Prince Hector of Troy, Achilles defeats him and drags away his body back to the camp of the Greeks. There, under the cover of night, Hector's father, King Priam, played by the equally legendary Peter O'Toole, visits Achilles and pleads with him to return his son so that he can prepare a proper burial for him. But it's how Achilles responds after their discussion that is my favorite part, as he agrees to return Hector but chooses to have a moment alone with the prince's body outside. And it's what happens there that is truly heartbreaking to see.
We'll meet again soon, my brother.
In this moment, we see Achilles completely break down emotionally, and to me, it's almost as if he's realizing both the anguish he's caused onto others, but also the anguish he feels from the curse of his own design. Perhaps, unlike many others he has killed before, Achilles is here recognizing that Hector was a truly honorable man and a powerfully talented warrior himself, someone who didn't concern themselves with chasing immortality, but who simply wanted to protect what he loved most, his country and his family. He even acknowledges this afterwards, telling Priam that his son was the best he had ever fought, giving a final sign of respect from one great warrior to another. But to me, the bigger tragedy is that Achilles here seems to be reckoning with his own fatal flaw by design, in that he feels cursed with this obsession of trying to be remembered throughout the ages by being the greatest of all warriors and by fighting in the greatest of all battles, which he now seems to be questioning. Was it ever a worthy pursuit at all? Why is it that he feels this drive to be remembered at all when someone so great as Hector, who perhaps equaled him, did not care at all about such a thing? Why is it that he feels this need to chase immortality when he simply could have chosen to live a noble, peaceful life instead of one that sought out death and destruction? Maybe this is the moment where he realizes that he truly hates himself for what he feels he is damned to do in this world, to pursue this treacherous task of being remembered that he must accomplish so he can fulfill some sort of destiny, this goal that he thinks will create some sort of everlasting legacy. But maybe it's also the moment where he suddenly feels the weight of all the existential dread on his shoulders, and he wonders if even being remembered throughout the ages is worth the burden of his actions. Maybe that even in the end, all of it is just pointless.
Do it. Nothing is easier.
Aren't you afraid?
Everyone dies. Today or 50 years from now. What does it matter?
Like the sands across the beaches of battle, Achilles might now realize that his legacy, his immortality, will just be another speck of dirt that might remain permanent across the ages, but that eventually, like all things, will be washed away by the infinite passage of time. And perhaps most tragic of all is the realization that what good is it being remembered if such a memory comes from the thousands of lives you have taken? What good is it having your name last in eternity if such immortality is built upon the forgotten?
You gave me peace. lifetime of war.